One of the biggest difference between dating a white woman and an African American woman is the level at which African American woman takes criticism. They do not like being criticized.
Welcome back, YouTube. How's it going? We're doing great. We're filming a video just for you. We're also streaming on TikTok right now. If you want to, go ahead, check in our comments for all of our socials. What's the topic today, babe?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good morning, depending where you're watching us from. First, I want to say a big shout out to all our subscribers today. Today, actually, we got to 430 subscribers. The last time I checked,
No, it was 440 something subscribers.
440 subscribers. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you so much for liking our content and also following us and supporting us and commenting. Thank you so much. And also the other thing is I want to appreciate you guys for watching the video because we dropped a video last week and it has is at 1.8K right now. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. And that motivates us to do even more, to always, speak our ideas and put our content out there for you guys to watch. But let's not waste further time. Today's topic is about we've both dated in our past relationships before. So for a healthy relationship, you gotta be open and free to talk about your experiences because we learn from our experiences. We learn from our past experiences and being able to share them without having a guilt kind of sense of judgment
Yeah.
allows you to grow as a person. That's number one. It also allows you to understand or to make things right, things that did work.
Yeah.
So in this topic, it's going to be sensitive, but I please beg you to understand what we're saying. We're sharing. We're only sharing our own personal opinion. This doesn't have to validate what you think, or this doesn't have to be exactly what you think. If you don't agree with it, fine.
That's
You are
okay.
you are well. You're responsible for your thoughts, and we respect that.
And you're entitled to your own opinions just as we are entitled to our own.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. But the topic today is what is the difference between dating Africans and dating and and dating a white girl? The difference. The
Which
di-
we both have had experiences with, not necessarily both, but he has experience dating Africans, as in Ugandans, and African American women, and now a white woman. I have experience in dating like white men, African American men, and now African slash Ugandan men. So those are our credentials. This is where we're coming from. This is our personal experience. We're not making generalizations at all. It's just our personal experience. Those are our disclaimers before we fully start the video.
yes. Okay. Go ahead, baby. I'll let you take the floor, ladies first.
Okay, so the main differences that I have noticed
Hmm.
from dating and also just your friends that are also Ugandan and
African.
African in general,
Mm.
the main difference that I have noticed is that y'all, as in Ugandan and African, are much more independent and self sufficient than African American and just American men, and I mean, even sometimes women in general,
Mm.
in terms of you already know how to cook,
Hmm.
you know how to clean.
Yeah.
There are multiple times that I have come to the apartment and you're like, oh, I've already swept and mopped because like it was just looking kind of gross.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wow, thank you so much for that. Because as an American woman, it is very rare to find a man that will see something that needs to be done and actually do it.
And most times I'll be like, you don't need to thank me. You
Exactly.
know.
And that's something that in our relationship that I noticed quite early on, that he took the trash out. Like I never have to tell him to take the trash out unless like I notice like, oh, it's kind of getting a little smelly, like if it's not fully like to the top. I'm like, we might want to take the trash out, but more than likely you've already noticed that.
Yeah, most times I don't like to waste the trash bag, you know.
Which I have also noticed that, but we have like 200 trash bags. So it that excuse me, that does not matter.
Yeah, but if you come from a background where I come from, where like we don't have enough resources, whatever you have to optimize it and make sure that you use it to the full capacity. It just gets into you naturally. You don't want to waste nothing. So that is the part of me.
Which that is another thing that I have kind of a love-hate relationship with that.
Mm.
As Americans, specifically the people that I have dated, they come from not necessarily wealthy backgrounds, but we've never needed or really wanted for anything. Like we've always had everything that we needed, everything that we wanted. So we don't have that kind of like scarcity mindset.
Hmm.
So like if the trash bag is half full and it starts to smell, like I will take it out. Or I will like I've had other people take it out. But
Hmm.
with you, because you have been in a place where like you've had literally nothing
Hmm.
before, you you like want to make the most out of everything, whether it be like using the most of a trash bag or like reusing things. Like sometimes you keep like little Ziploc plastic bags,
Yeah.
I throw them away.
Mhm.
But so I have a love hate relationship with that because it has taught me to be more resourceful with things so we don't have to spend a lot of money. But also, I think you have gotten a little bit better about like being able to let go of things.
Yeah, one of the things
Yeah,
that I really pay attention to is like I try to meet you halfway, regardless of
100%.
how uncomfortable that may seem with my mentality or the way I am.
Yeah,
I still have to be reasonable to understand that um, you were raised different. Just because I
yeah,
come from a background where we didn't have enough resources, I was always in a protective mood. I was always in making sure I don't waste stuff. But at the same time, I have to bear in mind that you come from abundance. You come from like you get what you want when you need it. If you don't want something, regardless whether it's good or nice, as long as you don't like it, you're not gonna take it. So I have to understand that. But at the same time, I have to also make you understand that look, you don't need to waste just because you don't like something. Sometimes
yes,
you have to do some stuff not because you like it, but because it's the right thing to do. That is when
yeah.
we bring the best out of you. And you've done a great job actually
Thank
trying
you.
to understand that when I ask you to do some of these things that you don't want to do, it's not because I want to change you. No, it's because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of that before we started dating, which I still am like this, but I've calmed it down quite a bit.
Mm.
Um, I already loved to thrift and get things secondhand because I don't like spending a lot of money, but I would definitely say that I have kind of a more elevated taste in things. I like expensive things.
All women do.
Not necessarily.
I've never met a woman that doesn't like expensive things.
But I think I have been very understanding and also have kind of changed my mindset around I don't always need to go to Target, to go to TJ Maxx and buy the newest, greatest thing, which
Hmm.
is something that I really needed somebody like you to tell me, no, you don't need that
Mm.
because it was pushing me into debt,
Right.
honestly, which is kind of embarrassing to say,
Yeah.
but I was spending money that I didn't have on the newest, greatest thing because I wanted to fit in with those around me. I wanted to, I don't know, I saw other people have the newest, greatest things, and I was like, I need that. I want that. But the reality is that you don't need that. You might want it, but you don't need it.
Mm.
And I feel like that is something that, as you, as an African and as a Ugandan, has taught me as an American. Americans very much love and buy into the consumerism, overconsumption, everything. Speaking of, there's a documentary on Netflix that I want us to watch. more for me because it's probably gonna help me not to buy more things. But I think you would resonate with it very well, about like the overconsumption of America,
Mhm.
companies, whatever. Every season they're pushing out new things for you to buy that make you think that you need these new things, but you don't need them at all. And it's really just for these companies to make money.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, I want to share my thought about the topic. So
Yeah,
before
tell
we
me.
go astray of the topic
Sorry.
is it's okay. The topic is the experiences and differences that we've had from
Yeah.
dating different races. Well, I've dated my fellow Ugandans before. I've dated Africans. I've dated African Americans, and now I'm dating a white woman. Um, one of the one of the biggest difference between dating a white woman and an African American woman is the level at which African American woman takes criticism. They do not like being criticized. Like, even if it's positive criticism, if they are doing something wrong and you call them out, that can raise hell. Taking accountability of something wrong they've done, it's very hard. They take it very offensively. They be saying that I don't want you to tell me what to do. I'm grown. I can do what the F I want. They always say that. At least from my experience.
I have also noticed that. Of course, again, this is not a generalization,
Hmm.
but from the people that we have experienced,
Hmm.
it, I mean, it does seem that typically,
Yeah. And
yeah,
vis-a-vis for a white girl, like for you, example,
yeah.
when I criticize you, you don't react like being defensive.
I did
You
at the beginning.
you no, that is your defensive is you try to justify it. You try to make it make sense uh, the wrong way. But also, with time, I think what you've done is you just feel sorry for doing it,
I don't
which
want
is,
to disappoint you.
which is okay, rather than being defensive about it. I prefer you be sorry, and then I'll be like, most times I don't even allow you to feel sorry because I'll be telling you, don't be sorry. Just don't do it because I don't want you to feel like you let me down. No, it is a human nature to make mistakes, and we learn from mistakes. The moment you start embracing your mistakes, you learn and grow as a person. The one thing I don't like is when you keep making the same mistakes again and again. It means you're not learning. It means you're not growing. It means you're not paying attention. That is one thing I don't like. But
Yeah.
if you make a mistake and acknowledge it and take accountability and then you change and you learn from it, I have no problem if you make another mistake. And also, I don't expect you to learn something once,
Like the first
for the
time?
first time. No. If you make a mistake, I'll give you a grace period of like 3 times. The fourth time is when I'll be harsh or when I'll be like really pissed about it. But that was a very, very hard thing for me when I was dating an African American woman. But
Yeah.
also, uh, taking me back to Ugandans, Ugandan women, they do not respond back to their men, when the man is maybe pissed off or in an argument. They are very, very submissive. And the disadvantage of that is most times that allows the man to overdo it because they are not pushing back to defend themselves because they are very submissive. And I never knew this until I started living in the diaspora. Because when you look out here in America or in the Europe or whatever these developed countries, women have powers and rights. You cannot
And
just
and opinions.
in opinions. You cannot just the cultural factor goes off the window. But back home, culturally, our women are not meant to be defensive towards their husbands or whoever they're in relationship
Or
with.
like
Yeah,
challenging them to be
challenge
better.
authority. They are just meant, like culturally, they are meant to be submissive for authority,
Which is fine.
which is fine, but
Not what you were looking for.
not necessarily that. I think as a person, I changed once I started living in these developed countries.
Yeah.
I start finding who I am,
Yeah.
based on the education that I've got. You know, me right now is not the same Colin 10 years ago in Uganda because I didn't know a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And the beauty of being informed and going to these nice places and living there and having these cultural experiences is you grow socially, you grow culturally, you grow mentally, you grow financially, you grow like you just become a better version because you're living at a world class standard. And then if you stay grounded to your true culture and teachings and behavior, that also allows you to be compatible.
Just
You,
like very well
yeah,
rounded.
so it allows me to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my experience when like I had to criticize, and I'm always doing positive criticism. I never criticize someone just because I want to criticize them.
Speaking on that, in my past relationships, which you are the
Mm,
first African Ugandan man that I have dated, in my past relationships, anytime that a partner would try to like constructively criticize me, I would take it offensively, which is my own fault. But I would kind of blame the person and say, how dare you think that I have flaws? I am a perfect person, which I mean, I obviously know I'm not perfect, but I didn't like that somebody else was pointing out my flaws, which I feel like, well, I know I had quite a difficult time with when we first started dating.
mm,
He is a very blunt person, which is part of your personality, but I also think it's just culturally
mm-hmm,
because the other guys that I've met, like at school and whatever, they are also very blunt. Like they don't sugarcoat things. But I also think part of your personality is that you are a very blunt person. But if there was anything that I was doing wrong, or if there were things that I needed to do to improve myself, like working on my health, working out more, losing weight, I took those very offensively in the beginning because in America, it's very rude to talk about that, to say that somebody needs to lose weight, to say that somebody needs to work on their health, because how dare somebody else comment on those things because like that's just not something you do.
yeah.
But I think that's something that I really, really had a hard time, excuse me, that I had a hard time with in the beginning.
Mhm.
And I'm very thankful. Oh my gosh. I'm very thankful for it now because it's helped me to kind of build a thicker skin when we have comments on TikTok or Instagram or whatever where people are saying rude things. Now I don't care about it because I know that I am working on myself and I am doing these things to improve myself. For myself, of course, but also for him because I want him to be proud of me too. But these are things that I already felt kind of insecure about, and so I didn't like when somebody else was pointing them out. And so now that I've kind of gotten used to you talking about them, it pushes me to actually do the things to change and be better. I really had never had somebody besides my parents to push me to be better and do these things that I wanted to do, but I just didn't have the motivation or I didn't have the like support behind me to do it. So that is something that I noticed that was very different from dating an African than African American, somebody that was born and raised in America.
Yeah, the third, and probably the last thing that we'll talk about for this video is finances.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really, really love about you is, regardless of um, the bill, you always try to help.
Yeah.
Um, Away from that, I'm an African man. In my culture, a man is supposed to take care of his wife or girlfriend or fiance, whatever the case may be. It is our responsibility to love, to protect, and to provide. And I do not feel complete if I'm not doing any of that. Um, that's why, like, when I met you, you were barely making money to save, you
Yeah.
know. And I used to feel bad for you. I used to send you money here and there so that you can feel okay, and also like put gas in your car, take your car to wash and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Just and I wasn't even when I met you, I wasn't making good money.
Yeah.
And then I started making good money, and then um you started feeling bad because you're not helping me because we had moved into this apartment and we're paying a lot more than what we used to pay. And I was like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. I'm supposed to do this. This is my responsibility. As long as you and I used to tell you, look, you're going to get a good job. You will help when you can, but I don't want you to think you have to help. That is the difference between dating you and my other relationships. In my other relationship, it's not like I was hoping for them to help out, but it's always nice.
Like you weren't expecting to,
Yeah,
but it was nice
it's nice
if they
to
would.
have a significant other that will pitch in and be like, oh, yeah, there's some extra cash. You can use it for other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, all my other relationships, I took care of everything, every bill. And they would even ask, I need money for this, I need money for that. You know, like, yes, I know I'm supposed to be the provider, but also we need to understand the dynamics that we live in a modernized world.
Yeah.
Everybody works. It's not like
Mhm.
you're just stay at home mom. I don't have kids. But like, you're working and there's this famous quote that women like to use. My money is my money, your money is my money. It doesn't work like that. That listen, if that is the statement she uses, I promise you that relationship is not gonna last long. Because at the end of the day, things happen. Like right now, when we started dating, I was making way more money than she is. Like,
Yeah.
and right now, she's making way more than I am making. But just because we understand the dynamics of our finances, it's not like I'm with her for money. And she understood that, and we understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I stand on the principle I have to take care of her, but because she loves me, she helps me with the bills. Whenever she feels like it's not like I put it a mandate on her,
Right.
which is something I've never experienced in other relationships. In all my other relationships, I had to be the providing factor on all ends, which I did. But having tested this now, I feel more better because I know if something happens to me, and let's say, God forbid, I lose my job right now, if you have it, I know you're going to take care of us without having to complain.
Yeah.
But in other relationships, I never felt that position because remember, I was the one providing.
Right.
So that is really, really a big factor for me, being able to have somebody who is financially, and also like one thing I like is when I criticize you on how you spend your money, you
Mhm.
don't take it offensive. My other relationships, African American women, mostly African American women, because the Ugandan girls that I dated,
They didn't really
they didn't
have
really
the
have
money for
money.
it. Yeah.
I've always had more money than them, but I dated a girl who was making like maybe three times more than me.
Really?
Yeah, she was African American, but when she would go out, like for example, my birthday was yesterday, and you saw how much simple it was, and I was happy as long as there's love and there's the people that I love around me. I don't really care what I get for my birthday.
Yeah.
As long as I celebrate it with the people that love me, my family, and all that. That is the most important thing to me. But she used to spend the money even that she didn't have, maybe like 5 grand on just a birthday trip. Maybe put some of it on the credit card or maybe spend the cash. And then when I criticize it, it's my money. You don't have to tell me what to do with my money. That is not how a relationship works. It's a teamwork.
Yeah.
That money, you might not need it now. You can stack it somewhere. You can invest it. You can save it. You can have future plans. If you're always spending and you don't want somebody, when I do something wrong and you call me out, I say, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm sorry, baby. I was wrong. I need to do it better next time. When I call you out, you say, you're right. I need to fix it. And that's how a relationship works.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like about our relationship is like the accountability, whether it's your money, whether it's my money. I'm not allowed to, just because I have it, I'm not going to go and waste it. Because at the end of the day, we have plans.
Yeah.
We want to build a house. We want to buy a house. We want to
Yeah.
do all these things. We want to go on vacations. So I'm so proud of us how we saved enough money to be able to go to California and spend 6, 7 days there without having to go
Yeah.
to date. And we all used cash money and we planned this. So that just shows you what teamwork does.
Yeah.
So,
And that's another thing that I have noticed in specifically dating you. I
mm,
don't know if this is an African thing, a Ugandan thing, but it's different from my past relationships in that we are 100% a team.
mm,
We consult each other on like big purchases, any big trips, big anything. Whereas in my past relationships, I was the person that was making the big decisions, that was paying for things, that was planning things. Like I was the person that was in charge. And it was hard for me, which you can attest to in the beginning, for me to relinquish. I saw it as control, but it's not control. It's more of, I would say, consideration now. Um, where I thought it was control in the beginning, but it's not control at all. It's just what's best for us, our finances, us personally, us as a couple. And now that I understand that, like, I trust you fully when it comes to making decisions for our finances, or like, we have a camera that we would like to upgrade. I was going to go to the store and see what they would give me that day. And you told me, why are you going to do that day? Like, see what they'll give you, and then we'll come back and talk about it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We should we should do that. Like, I don't know why I thought I was going to make a decision that day. We've got to talk about this first. So it's made me realize that it's not me against the world now anymore. It's us against the world, and it's situations where we consult each other about things, and we're a team, we're a partnership now, and that's something that I'd never really experienced before in the relationships that I had before dating like an African or Ugandan man.
yeah, as we conclude, it's always a beautiful thing to be very honest. It's also always beautiful to sit and talk things out.
Yeah.
And if you put your relationship in the center of honesty and truth, and then put God above it,
Yeah.
everything will just flow smooth. Even in the toughest times, there's always going to be provisions from God. So we probably have to do a part two of this topic
Yeah,
because
cuz
it's a big topic.
yeah.
And since we are trying to grow our YouTube, we don't want to do long videos so that
Yeah.
people can be engaging and watching. So for those of you watching us on TikTok, please go subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's called the Untold Three, at the Untold underscore
Underscore
three.
3.
It's in the link in the videos that you're watching on TikTok. So for now, we say peace
Peace.
out.